Wowzers. You know, they say when you start podcasting, you cry at first because you were born into a stage of fools, or whatever King Lear said. We saw Sing Sing accidentally, so this is your bonus episode of the Dead-Eyed Millennial Film Club. Hit it! Woo! Oh my gosh, guys, you are in for sort of a treat today. We're doing a little bit of a bonus episode about a film that we kind of accidentally saw, Sing Sing. Before I get into it, let me introduce again my brilliant co-host, Becky Franzel. Hello, Becky.
Hello.
Oh, hello there. How are you today?
You know, I'm doing well.
Are you doing well?
I'm doing well.
Oh, good. Good to hear.
How are you doing?
So we ended up... Oh, I'm perched on the knees of a bee. That's how they say it. So we ended up going to a screening of this film. Marcus Theaters does a mystery movie thing, and I signed up for it because I love a good mystery. And I was like, oh, is it going to be Deadpool and Wolverine? Feed me. Of course, it's not going to be that. Disney's not going to lose money on that. Then we got to the theater. Literally everywhere, everyone is wearing a Borderlands shirt. And I'm like, is this how they're going to soft launch this awful movie? No. So we're sitting there in the theater, A24 logo pops up, so we know we're in for a treat. We know we're about to be devastated.
There's going to be at least one twist.
One twisty twist, and it's going to break you. So we ended up seeing Sing Sing, a film that premiered last year and is opening soon in a couple of weeks, wide, starring Coleman Domingo, Paul Rassi, and a number of actual former inmates of Sing Sing. It was written by one of them as well, starring Clarence Divine Eye Macklin. He, extraordinary. The story is, Sing Sing had a rehabilitative theater program, and this is a recreation of their 1996 production of something called Breaking the Mummy's Code, where they took all of their ideas and they basically made this time travel, everything that's ever existed in media, kind of hodgepodge play. And it basically follows them around as they put that together. Coleman Domingo, one of the most extraordinary actors working today. He's been around for a while. He plays kind of the recruiter of the group. He is in jail for a long time. He has kind of this kind of quiet, sad power about him where he's very dignified. But he is, desperate to prove himself innocent with some information that he got, desperate to help other inmates find their way through their parole processes and make their time here easier. His recruitment of Macklin turns out to be difficult because Macklin is a person who has been on the inside, accepted that he's been on the inside for a while, and is kind of hard not to crack. And it's basically about their journey together, and Coleman's journey as he makes friends, loses friends, has his heart broken, and then there's a sense of relief near the end. And again, while the production of this is going on, I was taken completely by surprise by it. I'd heard about it. I'd heard it was great, but there's nothing that can prepare you for something like this. It's assured. The cinematography is incredible. There's no ego to it. There's no title card. There's no film by. It begins in medias res, which is to say it begins with no build-up. You're right in the middle of it, and it just goes from there. So what did you think of it, Becky? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, it was an exercise in it was an interesting take on futility, right? Because in the group there were so many different perspectives on how to deal with the futility of it all, because they all recognize there's no fucking out. There's no out, so what do you do with that, right? That's what I took from that.
Tell me more.
As in, Domingo's character basically just kept himself from it by diving straight into the acting and diving straight into the professionalism and diving straight into the theater of it all, right? Versus the other guy couldn't see through the theater because he had already resigned himself to being there forever, right? Clarence. Yeah.
No, he had pretty much already given up.
Yeah.
He was just hustling new inmates, but then when they go to recruit him, he randomly is popping off with Shakespeare quotes.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue. Because Coleman's buddy does not want him. His character's name is John, by the way. And John's buddy doesn't want to recruit this guy. He thinks that he's too tough, too unpredictable, too violent.
Well, and honestly, rightfully so. Dude is going around the yard, like, bullying people.
But he's bullying people with panache and acting skills.
Right. For sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, it opens with him, spoiler alert, but it opens with him, he gave some guy some Coke, and it wasn't actually Coke, and it was actually aspirin, and now the guy owes him $500.
Yeah.
He sells it, and then he walks away and he's laughing.
And then he just pops off with a King Lear quote.
It's interesting you say futility, because it's what he's fighting against the whole time. Absolutely. Because something happens to him halfway through where his entire pretense just falls.
Yeah.
Fails him. It cannot lead him into the promised land the way that it used to. His acting, his drama, the momentum of his drama, of his performance is not strong enough to overcome the heartbreak that he experiences.
Right.
Especially in the face of a successful bid for freedom by a fellow actor.
Right.
I'm always at odds, honestly, when it comes to these things, because I thought the movie was extraordinary. I think, again, I will use that word because it's the only one I can use for it. I don't have my thesaurus next to me. But I wish they didn't exist, honestly. Like, I'm glad that these programs exist. I wish that our incredibly violent, brutish carceral system didn't exist. And we didn't need movies like this to make us have empathy for people who have been locked away for the rest of their lives.
Well, right. And it was an interesting movie because it was hard to be inspired, because as soon as you were inspired, you'd get knocked down by something again. Whether it be that, it's in the trailer, so no spoiler, I guess. But when he's being interviewed, he has all the evidence, laid out. He's incredibly articulate. He's saying all of the right things. And she says, "Are you acting now?" Right? And immediately the air is just sucked out of the room, because you realize no matter what he says, he doesn't have a chance, and he never did. Right? So as soon as you get inspired, a scene like that happens where you're just pulled back and you're like, fuck.
The way Coleman sells his realization, too, the way his face dropped, because he had hope up until that comment. Right up until that comment, he was hopeful that the new evidence that came to light would free him.
Right. Even if he was tempered with it when he was talking with everyone else, right?
Right. He dared not have hope.
Right.
And then he gave himself hope. Right. For once. The hope that he gave other prisoners, he dared to feel himself.
It took me a lot not to shout bitch in the audience. It was like I had to put it in the back of my throat and just be like, are you fucking kidding me?
In that Key and Peele way?
Yeah.
Bitch.
Not even that, just bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, with an exclamation point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the kind of stone-faced cruelty visited on these guys on a regular basis, men and women,
right,
throughout the system.
Well, and that was the interesting thing too, is because it did address what happens when you're out, right? And the guy who is speaking about his life outside of bars is speaking on that same futility, in that sure, it's what did he say? It's like cotton candy, but there's also a ton of heartbreak and sadness that you still continue to have to, deal with.
The guy that came to visit them, yeah, he basically described that it's, I love it. He loves to get up in the middle of the night, go...
the freedom's allowed of him to,
drive.
Yeah.
He liked to drive forever, yeah. And, listen, we performed in prisons. That's one of the things. We performed for these guys. The last time we performed in a prison was at the Racine Correctional Facility. And, these are some of the most brilliant minds that I've ever met.
The guards wouldn't say so.
Well, that's the thing. Is that's
the fucked up part.
This was this. It kind of took me back to that.
Yeah.
Because they were brilliant. I had a great time. One of my favorite sets of all time. I was crushing with those guys. I've performed with them for almost 8 years in a row until the Racine Correctional Facility decided that it was no longer a valid exercise to give them something.
Fun isn't allowed there.
To look forward to each year.
Yeah.
But there was a guy that came up, and I'll never forget this. The guy who came up to us.
He was the guy who's talking about Death's intern Derek. He was talking about the baseball cap.
Yes,
and he was trying to understand why'd you pick a Cardinals baseball cap to have Death wear? And I was like, I don't know, I just think it's funny. And he kind of started playing around with the idea, and you could see the gears in his head working. He's like, can I take that? I was like, fuck yeah, you can. Just do whatever you want with it. It's public domain as soon as it comes out of my mouth, right? And the guard was ushering him away and saying don't bother her. Don't bother. But it was a collaboration.
It was motioning, hitting him, basically, moving him with a nightstick, frowning, implying that he's bothering us, as if his very presence in this place and our power dynamic means that we are being bothered by him, as if we didn't come here to have this conversation with them.
Well, if anything, we just shared a stage with them.
It is brilliant poets and artists being lorded over by artless brutes.
Yeah.
And that is the shame of it. One of the great indignities, and that's the thing in Sing Sing that stands out, is Colman Domingo's John's fight for dignity.
Yeah.
And what, like,
that he'll never get.
He'll run this rehearsal. He'll teach somebody the best way to express themselves, and then he'll have to go and watch as some guy who doesn't have even a pinch of his talent destroy his room, searching for imaginary contraband just to remind them that they're trash.
Well, and I keep going back to this scene where the woman says, like, well, are you acting now? Because I think everyone is, like, everyone who's ever been tried to be an artist without fucking money has dealt with that before. And that, like, oh, so what do you do for your real job, though?
Well,
or like, oh, that's fun.
Because it completely...
And it's dismissing.
It's like, yeah, she's like, I've heard you run a theater program, an acting program here.
Instead of seeing the merit in it, it's just the immediate dismissal.
Right. He's just faking it.
Yeah.
He's just faking being a nice person.
Right.
So he can lie to them and get out of here, because he's a monster forever.
Right. It's a creative way to continue being a criminal, because she only sees him as a criminal.
Right.
Right.
Right. Like I said, I wish these movies didn't exist. I mean, it's an interesting movie to watch in this...
It's necessary to watch, I think, because it at first when I was watching it, I thought it was just going to be that typical, like, and then the good prisoner reforms the bad prisoner and everyone's having a good time. But it's fucking not.
Right.
It says something so much more profound and so much deeper. And I think, I mean, I related to it throughout the entire thing, because I think everyone's dealing with this futility right now of, like, whether you have a shitty job, like, granted, it's bad, it's worse in prison. But, like, if you have, like, everyone feels stuck right now, right? And you feel like you can't get out. And I know I related to that of, like, you think you've got this thing and you think you finally made it and you finally could get out and transcend to the next level. And then you just stay in the same spot, right?
Yes.
That was my take. I don't know. That was my takeaway, though.
Mm-hmm. That's valid.
I related heavy to that scene.
I just think it's in the political climate that we're in right now, where I'm supposed to stand behind, I'm supposed to fight against fascism, I'm supposed to stand against the powers that are coming to crush us and democracy. And our guy is a genocidal war criminal who is responsible for the carceral system as it exists now. He's responsible for a crime bill that called young men on the streets super predators. He's responsible for the 3 strikes law. He spent his career cozying up to racists and people who love putting people in prison for no good reason. And now he likes to, backtrack and pretend like he's a friend of the community, and he's not. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting watching a film like this where it takes place in 96, where it's already beginning. It's the system that he created is already wreaking havoc.
Right.
And it's only gotten much, 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 much worse since then. It's just, if you know the history of Joe Biden, then you know that he is responsible for a lot of the social justice problems that we have today. And so watching a film like this only reminds me of this kind of really precarious place we are as citizens, where our politicians we're supposed to stand behind people that have destroyed communities and destroyed generations. And it's like, well, he's the safe one.
Well, and I don't know if this is valid anymore, because prisoners have so much less time for these kinds of programs. And like the typewriter, I don't think they're allowed to have writing materials anymore.
Well, that's the thing, is like, and we go back to the Racine thing. We did that for 8 years in a row. Shout out Dasha. Dasha Kellum. She was the Milwaukee Poet Laureate, wasn't she?
She was Wisconsin and Milwaukee.
Anyway, so through Dasha, I got to do this for 8 years. You joined me on the last one. They cut the program out because they didn't see, they said they didn't have the budget for it.
Even though these people, like, they would come up to you and they'd be like, I've been practicing for 6 months, like, and it fucking ruled.
Yeah.
Right? And you could tell. You could tell.
I went there so many times and they remembered me. They remembered the jokes. They remembered the sets. They remembered the things. They remembered. They knew. They looked something to look forward to. And it seems...
Well, also for them...
The crueler we get as a society, the crueler we get, somehow we figure out a way to be even more cruel to those that we have discarded. And it is heartbreaking, because what do you need? You don't have the budget or the time to give these men an outlet. Right. Because you want them to be terrible. You want them to fall into themselves, and you need them to be the kind of people that you need them to be to drive your cruelty.
Profit.
Is racing, well, sure, but it's more than that. I remember one time I went to, I'll leave this one nameless. I don't know why he picked me out of it. The warden took me to the solitary confinement wing to show me his wares, to brag about how cool it was, how, look at what I've created. And he was just pointing at all these guys locked up in solitary cells going, yeah, well, they don't blah, blah, blah.
It's horrifying.
And it was horrifying.
Yeah.
I don't know why he chose me. Maybe because he needed me. I was chosen so that I could go on this ramble later. Mm-hmm. I was disgusted. And so this is, in the midst of that kind of behavior, these men have done everything in their power to remain dignified in the face of overwhelming cruelty. And I have nothing but... there's nothing I can live. There's no way that I can, there's no way for me to understand what it's like to be in that situation. And again, frankly, the idea that they got actual inmates, former inmates, who had participated in this program to recreate this time in their lives must have been, it's profound. It must have been powerful for them. It must have been hard for them. And I have nothing but the utmost respect. I hope they get all the awards. I hope they get all the deals. I hope they are given the opportunity that they were not given before.
Well, and I thought it was cool, too, because when I was watching the movie, I didn't realize that it was the prisoners, right? I thought they were actors.
No, and it was there.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to, sometimes when we see these movies, we're like, if we had seen that it was the prisoners as the actors at the beginning, I'm not sure if, would we have been... I don't know if that would have changed it for me.
I kind of... Because they used such a large cast of people that I'd never seen before in my life, I just assumed that they were actual prisoners.
Yeah.
I knew that...
I just thought they were very good at knowing, I thought they just did their homework real well. Right? But they were really fucking good they were just good actors.
Right. They were artists.
Yeah.
And they were keeping up with Coleman Domingo.
Right.
Who is an extraordinary actor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's one of the best actors of this. Again, I keep repeating it.
His Hamlet soliloquy did, I know it was a point in the movie to say, it gave me chills, right? But it did actually give me chills in the theater. I was like, whoa.
And his reaction to not getting it.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But his reaction to Macklin getting it.
Yeah.
There's these little tiny bits where the camera kind of falls back and Coleman is really John is really responding to the scene. There is so much heartbreak behind his eyes.
Yeah.
When he thinks no one's looking, his whole facade drops.
Right.
When he's vibrant, excited, helpful, but as soon as he gets away from everybody, it's back to this kind of wandering hopelessness.
Right.
It's I got no more words for it. It was just one of the best films I've seen in years. A24, whoever is out there shopping at these festivals, from them knows what they're doing.
Right.
Because they have produced, I know it's A24 Hive. Yeah, we get it. It's getting old now. But the fact is they release the best films. They have the largest variety of powerful, moving cinema. A24 is responsible for, they released Midsummer. They released Beau is Afraid. They released Everything Everywhere All at Once, and now Sing Sing. And I'm like, what?
What did they do? Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They have an eye, and that's why we know them for who they are. Sing Sing, 147,000 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand how...
It was so fucking good. And I would like to add that as we were leaving the theater, an old woman turns to her friends and says, "Sorry about that. That was kind of boring." Or what did she say?
She said, "Sorry about that. That wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. It was really slow. I mean, I guess it was fine, but it was too slow moving." Sorry, life in prison isn't fast enough for you, Gertrude.
And I'm pretty sure you can picture which pants she was wearing. Everyone knows what kind of pants Gertrude was wearing.
Oh, my God, dude.
Not to be an asshole, but once those pants enter the room, you know the stuff that's coming out of that mouth. You just know.
White people. Fucking white people. Anyways, there was... most of the people had the appropriate response. One guy got up and started cheering and applauding because it deserved it.
And he was the only one applauding, and nobody else was applauding, and he continued. But
I mean,
we should have been applauding, but you know, That's fine.
We were watching the credits, and I was mesmerized.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that after credits scene for, we want you to join our theater program initiative.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That's kind of what the ending is kind of a little bit like that.
Yeah. The ending's really cool, too. I won't spoil that.
We disagree on the ending. I think that I know that they needed to, the ending is what it is. I think that there was a better ending point, but this is a quibble because there's 3 minutes in between it.
Right.
That's a minor quibble. It's like a filmmaking quibble. And who am I to tell them how to do it? So.
And from my plebeian perspective, I loved the ending.
Yeah, great. So, it's a good ending. It's a really good ending. It's not like it's a bad ending.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, Sing Sing. If you hear this before then, go see it. If you hear it after it comes out, go rent it. It's worth the money. Make sure that the people who made this film get the money. Buy the movie. Let them get paid.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then tweet about it or...
Don't tweet about it. Get off of X. Get onto Threads.
Threads about it.
Talk about it, but stay off of Elon.
Stitch on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Snapchat it. Let's do some
Google it.
Oh my God. Well, that's it, guys. That's all I have. Anything to add? Anything left?
No.
What's going on with you? No?
I've got nothing.
Okay. Well, this has been Jason Hillman, and that has been
Becky Franzel.
And this has been the Dead-Eyed Millennial
Film Club. Yes.
Bye now.